What's up, everybody? This is Frankie with the Terror Dog Squad. We're here at SacAnime Day 2. Today we're going to do a little HasLab mod for the 2-in-the-Box trap, where Odin Abbott of Odin Makes has gracefully lent us a little space for us to do what we're going to do, because he's actually really excited to take a look at it too. So let's get to it. What we're going to do is basically reverse the direction of the bar graph right here. So you see how it's going from right to left. So we're going to actually mod it so that it goes from left to right. It's not too complex, it just takes a little bit to get going, but once we do, it's going to look more like in the movie. So what we are going to start off with is take the cartridge out, because that's how you access the batteries, and that's also how you're going to access the little control panel where the connector for the bar graph is. Right, so quick disclaimer, I did not find this myself. It was actually found by someone on Facebook named David Anel or Anel. I hope I'm not saying that wrong, but that's the person who found this out first. So what I'm doing is just showing you how I go about the process of doing the mod. So the way we access this is we're going to take out the bottom panel, which is held in place by all of these little screws right here. These are all screw caps. So you're just going to basically take a screwdriver or a drill and just start taking them out one by one. So the way I'm doing this is that I'm not taking the screw cap out, so that when I remove the panel, the screws will stay in place, so it'll be easier to reinstall once I'm done with the connector. When I unscrew this, I have to keep light pressure on the plate so that it doesn't bend or flex unnecessarily, because we want to keep as much of it intact as possible while we're taking this off, because screw caps are pretty tight. So if you're not careful enough, they can take the plate right up with them. So that right there is the connector that we're going to remove and reverse the pins on. So this is probably the scariest part of it, just trying to be as delicate and careful as possible. Remember, if you are going to do something like this as well, this goes for basically any kind of project, remember to take as much time as you need to get something done. I'm definitely not speaking from experience at all. Definitely not. All right, so that's removed. And just gonna carefully get all that out. So there it is. So basically, you want to keep the first 4 in place and the last one. Everything else you're going to remove and then put in reverse order one by one. Carefully, you're going to start removing them one by one. So here's all the pins removed. It may look like I did it super duper fast, because sometimes I can do that because I'm really cool. But in reality, I just did each one thoroughly one by one, because you don't want to rush this, because even though they're pretty robust, they can still be pretty delicate depending on how you handle it. With that said, we're just going to start putting these in reverse order. So this is the last one I pulled out, so I'm going to put that in the first hole. It would help to label each one with either, masking tape or hobby tape, unless you can keep track of which one you did last, which I'm trying to do right now, and be very careful. And even though it's very loud, I will lock in, because I'm so cool.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
So here we are, we've got all the pins reversed. And honestly, the twist that it puts on the cable itself is really not that bad. If you want, you can zip tie them together just so they all, compensate. But that's it, really. And now we just have to go back and carefully put everything back. I've done a couple of these now, and I've found some where the wires were, attached right here or attached to other wires. In that case, you want to be very, very careful. You can try separating them if you want, but if you don't want to risk it, just really take your time. That's kind of the main point I'm trying to get at here. So we're just going to carefully put that back in. You want to make sure it's completely secure on every single side, every single pin is engaged. And once that's done, you're not going to close it up quite yet. What I like to do is I just like to test it real quick. Because of the width of the pins here, it's no big deal if you get it misaligned. Here we go. And now we're just gonna flip the switch and see if it does it. And there we go. We have successfully made it go from left to right. So the mod's basically done. All that's left is to just replace the board, put all the screws back in, slide the cartridge back on, and we'll be good to go. Now, putting the board back in can be a little tricky just because of how tight the tolerances are between the inner cartridge and the wall. So there are two little parts that stick out in here, and you want to get them right outside the pin sticking through here. So you want one here and one here, and then you just carefully slip it back in. You want to make sure all the wires are on the inside of the screw hole as well. So carefully use a screwdriver and scoop those on the other side. And yep. Yeah, before screwing it all back on, you want to make sure you have plenty of clearance for the screws so that you don't end up snipping a wire, pinching anything. And with all that said, we're ready to close it back up. Okay, you just gotta really squeeze, get it nice and squozed. Because of how close the bottom of the cartridge sits to the bottom of the casing, these have to go as flush as you can make them. So that means this one's just sticking out a little bit. That means you may have to tighten a couple and then push them down because you want it to slide smoothly and cleanly. So now we're just gonna re-engage the cartridge, give it some power. And there you go. That is the HasLab 2-in-the-box Gauss Trap bar graph mod. Really clean, really simple. It's honestly, for me personally, pretty fun. And yeah, so let's go catch a ghost. So once again, huge thanks to Odin of Odin Makes for lending us this space at his cosplay repair booth that he holds at SacAnime every year. Anything coming up?
Anything coming up? Sure. I know there's another con I'm coming up to. It's called Creator Con. It's going to be happening out in Colorado Springs. That's a one-day con. It's a little con, but the little cons are a lot of fun because very personable. I'll be going to WonderCon. I'm going to WonderCon to have fun, so I'm not going to have a booth. I'll be walking around. I'll be there the whole time. And I'll be back at SacAnime on Labor Day weekend, right here in the booth. Set up again every day. I'll be right here.
Sweet.
Sacramento, yep.
Thank you again.
You're welcome. Thank you. Appreciate you guys coming over and hanging out.
Yeah,
It's fun watching you work.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, fun watching you work.
Thank you.